So we always have to go back to what works. So welcome everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome to the Civilized Presence. And please give Facebook 2 minutes to get this video up and running. I'm just going to search for this video and share it on Cicone's page and on my page. And welcome, welcome, welcome. All right. It looks like it's coming up here. There you go. Okay. Welcome, guys. Let me know where you're joining us from this morning. Comment with your country, your city, and let me know where you're joining from. I am excited that you made out time to be here. So, Cicone, it kind of looks like we have security on your page, so I'm not able to share it directly on your page, but I have it on my personal page, so you might have to take it from there,
Okay,
please.
I will.
Okay, so welcome everyone. Thank you so much. You are here, right here in the Civilized Presence. Do us a favor by jumping on in and share this video. Invite your friends and family and your enemies too. Your neighbors would be great. And let us all be part of what we're doing. It's a great session today, and I have someone who is very special to me in our midst today, my very good friend Cicone. I'm going to introduce him in a minute. So just coming in and let me know where you're joining us from. Welcome, welcome. Just 1 second, Cicone, I'm almost there.
Okay.
Okay. So oh no, there you go. Um, right. Okay. So welcome, guys. It's the Civilized Presence, and you are in the right place at the right time. Again, thank you so much for being here. And Sikani, this on your page, Sikani?
Okay.
Yes, it's on my personal page, so you might just want to grab it and put it on your page because there's security on your page, so I'm not able to put it there directly. So,
Mm-hmm.
guys, we are just ready to rock and roll. So, let me know where you're joining us from. I am so excited that you made out time to be here. If it's your very first time, the Civilized Presence is an online TV session where lives are changed, where people discover their self, their purpose, their voice, and learn social skills to thrive in the real world. So if you want to become a change maker, you are in the right place. And I want to
Yes,
say
yes.
thank you so much for making out time to be here. Thank you for raising your hand. Thank you for saying yes. Thank you for clicking on the video. I don't know where you're joining me from, but I'm so excited that you're here. Did you see the flyer on my page on Instagram? Somebody invited you. Welcome. Are you here on replay? Welcome. You're seeing this on YouTube, wherever that you are. Welcome. You mean so much to me because without you, the show will not go on. So, guys, it's the Civilized Presence, and my name is Louisa Akaizo, and I'm going to be your host for today. And I really feel so honored that you responded. I'm a master civility trainer and a leadership coach and expert with the John Maxwell team. Now, you might be asking, what does she do? I work confidently with leaders and professionals that place great importance in themselves and their reputation. And that's going to be you this morning because guess
Yes.
what? You made out time to be here. So I
Yes.
am so excited. But the only thing that I need from you is to jump on in and share this video. Give us some hearts, give us some thumbs up. And hello, Esther. Hello, Izzy. It's great to have you here, guys. I know we're right on time because when I'm working with Sikoni, I have to be on time. He was here right on time, guys. I have the best people in the house. And welcome, Janet. It's great to have you here. So come on in and give us hearts, give us thumbs up. The heart simply means, Sikoni, we're excited to see you. And the thumbs up is, whoo, Civilized Presence, you're back. We're excited. So thank you. It's a Monday morning right here in Virginia. It's very hot in Virginia. But yes, I still had to wear my black just to honor because of the holiday today. So that's why I'm wearing my black, and we'll talk more about that very soon. So, guys, if it's your very first time, this is session number 104. We started
Wow.
this last year, and it has been fantastic. I am so grateful to God, and that's okay if you're not a person of faith. This is who I am, so that's what I know. So I'm extremely grateful that we've made it to 104, guys. It's been a lot of work, working with different professionals and leaders from all over the world, really trying to break down the concept of civility into tiny little bits for people to understand why it is important but easy to be civil. And that's really the main focus of this Facebook series, guys. And welcome, Dee. It's great to have you here. Welcome, Sonia Jones. Thank you so much for joining. Guys, come on in and give us some hearts, give us thumbs up, and let me know where you're joining from. I can see people from the La Image page, but you know what? I can't see your name directly because you're not on my page. So you might want to come into the video and just say hello. Come on. I want to be able to give you a shout out and treat you as a VIP that you are. That's what we do here on Civilized Presence. We appreciate people. But the only thing that
Yes.
you have to do is come on in and say hello to me, say hello to Cicone. I can see your waves and I can see your thumbs up. And thank you so much for all of the support. So, really, the focus of this Facebook series is to help restore civility through, and we've been doing that through meaningful and constructive conversations, really trying to restore the concept of civility in our society, because you will agree with me that civility is a lost art. There's so much pain and hatred and trouble and struggle in the world, and people just kind of lose it. So, guys, you are not alone. If you're feeling that way, the only thing you have to do is to hang out with me every Mondays and Fridays, because I bring the very best to the show to share with you how easy it's going to be for you to work with this concept, and not just kind of be civil on a Monday and leave it on Tuesday and Wednesday, but embrace it as a lifestyle. That's what we do here. So if you're still struggling, let me share with you a definition of civility, one that is I love so much, from Dr. Pierre Funny. We lost him not too long ago, but he's with us in spirit. I call him the grandfather of civility, and his definition states that being civil means being constantly aware of others and weaving restraint, respect, and consideration into that very fabric of awareness. So, civility is a form of gracious goodness. Civility is focused on positive people's treatment. Civility is just being responsible for your actions. And if you like, you can think about civility as the golden rule, treating others the way that you want to be treated. Because I always say that if you think that you're confused about your attitude or your character, step up to the other side of the table and ask yourself a question. If I was receiving the same treatment, how would I feel? Ta-da! The light bulb comes on. Right there, you
Right.
realize that you should be making a switch or an adjustment with your habit. Izzy, it's great to have you here from Canada. Thank you so much. Baller, it's great to have you here from London, UK. Thank you, thank you, thank you, my friend Ben. Thank you, Charles from Ghana. Thank you, Grace from Nigeria. Look at that. Thank you so much, everyone, for just making out time to be here. It's a civilized presence. And I don't know how many of you have read the topic of today, but I'm just going to repeat it back to you. It's the importance of civility during a transition. Now, how many of us have been through a transition? I have. I don't know about you. And sometimes it can be extremely challenging. And I saw this beautiful quote, and let me share it back with you, from Dr. Seuss. He says, "You have brains in your head, you have feet in your shoes. You can steer yourself any direction that you choose. You are on your own and you know what you know. You are the one who'll decide where you go." And I thought that was a perfect, quote to just help us slide into this topic, because that just shows that you are in control of who you are and who you want to become. Your actions, your character, you are in control. And sometimes we kind of feel like we're helpless. No, 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 no. I'm going to tell you today, you're in control. Okay. So don't leave it for somebody else. I'm not going to be too nice this morning, but I'll try because we have Cicone in the house who is very nice. But guys, we really have to learn how to stay focused when we are going through, whether you want to call it transition, whether you want to call it some kind of struggle, some kind of difficulties, some kind of challenges. We have to stay focused in the game. Because you see, this game called life is an interesting game that everyone is playing at the same time. And so if you're not focused, someone is going to just smack the goal into your net and you're just standing and looking, okay? And people would go farther. So you got to be attentive of what's happening around you. I find people give excuses of being rude or being unruly, and they come up with things like, oh, I was just having a bad day. No, 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 dear. You're not going to do that. Okay. We all have a bad day sometimes. Today, I think I should have started with a bad day. Sukoni knows that. But I am here smiling and full of energy and just energized and just so excited that you're here in the show because I am in control of who I am and who I want to become and how I want to show up in the world. So there is no excuses of misbehaving, guys. And that's the message for today. So I brought the very best person and welcome, Gabor. It's great to have you here. Thank you so much for joining. Welcome, Gwen. It's great to have you. Thank you so much for joining. Liama, it's great to have you here. Thank you, my friend from Dubai. It's great to have you in the house. And guys, let me just give a moment to Cicone to say hello to the audience while we just get things going. And over to you, Cicone.
Well, good morning, Louisa, and everybody that's listening from around the world. I want to thank you for taking this time out to share with us about the civility during a transition. And Louisa, I can't thank you enough for inviting me back on your show. And I am so excited to share this topic with your listeners today.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Cicone. It's always good to be with you because you're just so full of so much great nuggets.
Okay.
And guys, Honey is in the house. He's just gonna keep dropping it. If you haven't grabbed your pen and paper, what are you waiting for? Go get it. It's time to
Yes.
learn. Let me tell you more about Cicone if you haven't seen him before. Cicone Prince, that's his full name, is the president and CEO of CiconePrince.com LLC. And that's a coaching company whose motto is introducing you to yourself.
Yes.
Guys, let me tell you, every time that I read that, so just in case you were confused, you were troubled, you really didn't know where you were headed at, he's going to reintroduce you this morning. So come on in with your questions. He is also a highly sought after, dynamic, and engaging motivational speaker, an accomplished author and successful entrepreneur. He previously served as the president and CEO of 3D Solution Providers, LLC. His business experience and 20 plus years of marriage and fatherhood has served as a classroom for developing content for his motivational speaking. And Secone's latest best-selling book, Are You Climbing the Wrong Mountain? He explores how to discover your God-given purpose and use that to live a more fulfilled and impactful life. And guys, I want to say that there are other great things about Cicone that is not in this bio because recently he was in Guyana. He's been traveling around the world and just impacting lives. So, Cicone, let me put that back to you. I want you to tell the audience about some other great things about you because you've been doing so much, my friend. I'm trying to catch up now. Over to you, Cicone.
Well, I will add that book, Are You Climbing the Wrong Mountain, has been turned into an annual summit called the Are You Climbing the Wrong Mountain Summit. It's going to be October 18th and 19th of this year in New Orleans, Louisiana. It's going to be a 2-day summit. I have 6 incredible speakers. We have an awesome MC. We're going to have vendors. I mean, it's going to be an incredible time, and we are looking to have 300 people at this summit. I mean, it is a life-changing event because it really helps you to answer that question, are you climbing the wrong mountain? And that book came from a quote by Dr. Miles Monroe. And the quote said that the greatest failure in life is to succeed at the wrong assignment.
Mm,
The
mm.
greatest failure in life is to succeed at the wrong assignment. And when I first heard that quote, the first thing that came to my mind was a picture of somebody standing on the mountain saying, I did it. But at the bottom
Wow.
of the picture, the caption said, but you're on the wrong mountain.
Mm, mm,
And so I have actually used that book and that quote as a platform to help people to understand that that there are people that are doing stuff that they were trained to do. There are other
mm,
people that were doing stuff they were ordained to do.
mm,
And the difference is, one, you have no fulfillment, you have no sense of purpose. The other one you do. You have a sense of
mm,
fulfillment and purpose. You know for a fact this is my right mountain. And so you talk about civility. When you're doing what you know you were called and given to do, you are more civil. But it's
mm,
when you're not doing that, when you find yourself frustrated, in fact, when you find yourself just really tense and tight, and that's because you are not on your right mountain. It's a struggle. And then you take it out on everybody around you. But once you found that right mountain, it's a joy. It's a pleasure to get up and go and do whatever it is you were called and given to do, whether it's bake, whether it's paint, whether it's do accounting, whether it's politics, whatever it is.
mm.
Once you found your right mountain, you'll live a happier and more fulfilled life. You also mentioned about me going to Guyana, South American, having a chance
Mhm.
to actually speak there. That was an incredible experience, you know, to go and to pour into the lives of students and even political leaders in another country. That was incredible. I'm so grateful for the opportunity. In fact, that was afforded me by Dr. Clyde Rivers and Dr. Reuben West to go on that trip and to really just impact the lives of people around the world. But I tell you, there are a lot of other things that I've done, but I really don't want to make this about me because I want to get to this message because I know how important it is because transitions are a part of life. And if you don't look at them right, they'll become somewhat of a crutch. They'll become somewhat of a stumbling block. They'll become something that's going to hold you back. But if you identify for what it is,
Mm,
then you can actually go through the transition better. You can have civility through it because it's inevitable. Change is inevitable. The only thing that's constant is change. And if you aren't willing to accept that, you have a problem when change comes. A
mm.
lot of us wants to hold on to what we've had yesterday, not knowing that there's better available, but you have to make the transition. And so that's what I'm ready to get into in this message today.
That is so powerful, and thank you so much. Nobody could have said it better. And we have some more people jumping on in. We have Charles, we have Aname. It's great to have you in the house. Nafisa from Niger Republic. Yes, my friend. I promise you we're gonna do a French show very soon. Please forgive me. We're gonna have to do that soon. Welcome, Toko from South Africa. It's great to have you here, guys. Thank you so much. You know what? I just love my audience because, guys, without you, the show will not go on. So this is why I'm always so excited when I see you guys. Thank you for the support. Thank you for believing in me. Thank you for just standing by me. Thank you for being the change maker. Thank you for being a civility ambassador where you
Yes.
are, because you take the
Yeah.
contents and pass it on to somebody else. You invite people all the time to be part of my video. You kind of pass it on to other people. I mean, what more can I say? Thank you for all of that support that you've been giving to me. Thank you so much. So, guys, let's go back to the topic of today, transitioning. Now, some of you might still be asking, you know, Louisa, why transitioning? Well, transitioning is a part of life. It's inevitable.
Yes.
Like you cannot run away from it. It's gonna happen. Especially looking at our audience, we're mostly entrepreneurs, professionals, and leaders. Let me tell you, nobody is going to start up a business and just rock it to the last day without transitioning. You're going to go through it.
True.
It's
True.
part of the package. I'm serious. It's like walking into a store and it's like buy one and get two free. So that two free is going to be transitioning. It's coming. So it's better off that you're prepared on how to deal with it and get the most out of it when it shows up.
Yes.
Because if you don't, you kind of feel like you got to the end of the road. Like you hit the rocks. You feel like you're meeting resistance. You feel like, everything is just falling apart. And this is why I had to bring the best to the show this morning. I mean, who is working with a lot of people through his platform and just delivering people. Yes, transitioning sometimes requires deliverance, from this concept of struggling while they're transitioning in life. And so, Cicone, you already know that how this works is really to get started with the questions and bring on the conversation. And of course, we have more questions as we go. So, my very first question for you this morning would be, what does civility mean to you? Over to you, Cicone.
Well, civility means to me the ability to operate in the moment and to realize that what's going on around you doesn't have to definitely affect what's going on inside of you. You
Mm,
know, a a boat stays afloat in the water because the water's on the outside. It's
mm,
once the water gets on the inside that you have a problem, that the boat ceases to serve its function. And you can have turmoil and stuff going on around you, but if it stays on the outside, you can still function, you can still navigate your way through it. But if you allow it to get on the inside, that's when the problem comes. That's when you start to sink. And
mm,
so civility to me means not allowing what's on the outside to affect what's on the inside.
mm, mm.
So
That is powerful. Not allowing what's on the outside affect what's on the inside, guys. You see, every time that I have a guest in the show, because they're the very best, I learn from them every day. We're all about the practicality of civility. Because if we
right,
have all these huge theories and nobody's using it, it doesn't make sense. And of course, this is what my guests help me to do, to break it down. And I learn something every day. So I'm
right,
learning with you. And thank you so much, Sikerni, really for sharing that. Because
mhm,
sometimes some people might learn from me and some people are going to learn from you.
right,
We,
right.
our message activates our tribe. And so
Yes,
your tribe that's on the show is going to connect to your message. And just like
right.
I'm connecting to your message right now. And so thank you so much, Sick. Our next question for us this morning is really, we have talked about how transitioning is a part of life and it's one thing that we're sure of. It's going to show up in life.
Right,
Now,
right.
can you just kind of expand more about what transitioning is to you? I mean, just kind of talk to the audience about different scenarios of transitioning so that they can connect and understand and we can carry them along. Over to you, Sikoni.
Okay. Well, transitioning is moving from one place to another, moving from one place to another. And see, the problem is we are creatures of habit. We
Mm,
don't like change. We like the familiar. And it's in the changing that there comes that fear, that comes that anxiety. And
mm,
oftentimes we actually want to fight that change, fight that transition. But if we understand that it's a part of the process, then we won't fight it. We'll go along with it. We'll actually find out how to actually make it work to our advantage. I did a video several years ago entitled, Don't Go with the Flow, Direct It. Don't go with the flow, direct it. Since the flow is going to happen anyway,
mm,
why not be a part of directing where it goes? I gave the example of a leaf. I said, if you drop a leaf in a river, it's going to do what? Go with the flow.
mm,
But imagine if you drop a rock, and I don't care how small, how tiny it is, one thing it's going to do is going to direct the water around it. Well, if you drop enough rocks in the river, it'll dam it up. If you put them on one side, it'll make the water go another way. It will direct it. So
mm,
are you a rock or are you a leaf? Are you willing to actually be a part of the process of directing the transition? Knowing that
mm,
it's coming, knowing that it's going to happen, and what can you do to make it work for your good or for the benefit of those around you?
mm,
And so understanding that that's what it is, that transitions are a part of life. We have 5 children. And this year, our youngest daughter graduated high school. So now
Mm.
she's about to have a transition. She's going to be leaving our home, going off to college. The same thing with our other two daughters. They've left home and they're off at, well, one finished college, the other one is still in college. And so now we're going to be at home with just our youngest son. But even that's going to be a transition for us because we go from a house full of noise to barely a peep. So we're going to have to make adjustments with that, which I'll probably do good with a little peace and quiet, to be honest with you. But it's a part of life. Now I could fight it, I could resist it, I could say no, you can't go, no, you have to stay here. But that's just going to make it worse. But like I tell our children, I said, look, I'm not still staying with my parents. Y'all are going to still be staying with me. My job as a father is to get you ready for life. One of the things I really loved about the Black Panther movie was when the father said, a father has failed if he hasn't prepared his children for his death.
That's true.
And that means and that means equipping them with what they need to survive when you're no longer there.
Exactly.
And that's one of the things that I really keep helping our children understand, that transition is a part of the process and you need to be ready for it. I was telling somebody on a video that the video was entitled, "What are you wearing and where are you going?" And I used the example of our children. I said, I'm not raising children, I'm raising adults. They looked at me like, but we're not adults. I said, okay. I said, do you wait till you get to school to put your school clothes on? They said, no. I said, do you wait till you get to church to put your church clothes on? They said, no. I said, do you wait till you get in the swimming pool to put your bathing suit on? They say, no, sir. I said, you always get ready somewhere else, right? You always get dressed somewhere else. I said, well, you don't wait till you become an adult to learn how to be one. I said, now is the time and this is the place for you to learn the skills you need to be an adult. So when I say, what are you wearing, where are you going? I wasn't just talking about physically, mentally. What is your mindset? Because you are going somewhere. But if your mindset isn't where it needs to be, just like the quote you mentioned earlier, your Dr. Seuss, you have a chance to direct where you go. But if your mindset isn't right, you'll go in the wrong direction. Sometimes you'll go against the transition as opposed to going along with it, knowing that it's a part of the process and that it's another stage of life. We are so caught up with what we're leaving that we miss what we're going to. So many of us spend so much time looking back. That's why in your vehicle, the windshield is bigger than the rearview mirror because you're not going that way.
There you go.
You're going forward. You're going forward. So can you imagine driving a car where the windshield was this big and the rearview mirror was this big? You're not going back. You're going forward. And so if we don't understand that, we will resist transition and we'll think that is something, in fact, to be feared or to be shunned or even to fight. But the reality is it's a part of life.
Wow. This is great. And thank you so much, Donald Tolson. It's great to have you here. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. I can see people sharing the video, and I really appreciate all of you for doing that. Thank you so much. This is great message, guys. I told you, Cicone is in the house. Be careful. He's here. So he's going to be dropping it. Yes. We're going back to the conversation, Cicone. And just you mentioned something about how it's so important for us to be actively involved when transitioning is happening. And, I find that a lot of times the first thing that comes to mind is this really happening to me? And that causes a delay because we're still in the, I don't think this is happening. No, this can't be happening to me. No, I don't think so. And we are not taking action. Now, I would like you to speak to the audience more about what can we do when transition happens? What are the steps what can we do? Instead of, first of all, being in denial, instead of getting frustrated, instead of beating ourselves up and just getting confused and just shutting down and shutting out and shutting everywhere. Like, I mean, sometimes when transition happens, you're everywhere else apart from being into yourself. Because you're
Right.
thinking about 1,001 other things. That's not going to
Right.
work. So,
Right.
what can we do when transition happens? Over to you, Cicone.
Well, the first thing we can do is we can know that it's happening, that it's coming. Know that it's a part of the
Mm,
process. Because if you
mm,
know that it's coming, then you can prepare for it. See,
right.
oftentimes we don't settle that issue that transitions are a part of life. When you know it's coming, you can prepare for it. Even before it gets there, you can
Right.
prepare yourself for it. So that's the first thing you can do. Now, then, once it starts happening, because you knew it was coming, you're not caught off guard. You're not caught by surprise. Even
Mm,
if you look at other people's lives and what they've gone through and what they've had to deal with, you can learn from them and their transitions. And
mm,
knowing that, okay, look, they had to go through a transition. I'm going to have to go through a transition. And so prepare yourself for that. But then when it happens, okay, because you've thought about it, because you put a plan in place, or even if you've just gotten yourself mentally prepared to deal with it as it comes, you're in a better position as opposed to fighting and struggling and resisting and just being at your wits' end. You knew this was going to happen. It's almost like a woman being pregnant.
mhm.
Eventually, the baby's going to
The
come.
baby's going to show
Okay,
up.
exactly. So you have to be ready. You don't
Mm,
wait till the baby gets there, like, okay, well, now we need to get a crib. Now we need to paint the room. Now we need to get the nursery ready. No, the baby's coming. What are you going to do? Now, paint the room, get the crib, get everything set up. So when the baby gets here, everything is already ready. So
mm,
knowing that is coming and then preparing for it. But then as the transition starts, you have to be flexible. I can't
mm,
emphasize this enough. You have to be flexible because you have your plan in mind and everything is picturesque and everything goes perfect. But then you
mm.
find out that life happens and life didn't see your plan. I don't care if you have it written down, you can have it on a billboard. Life
That's
really
right.
doesn't care about your plan, but you have to be flexible in the transition
Mm,
because it's your inability to be flexible which caused that frustration. It's caused those headaches. Well, I expected to go like this, or I expected this to happen. And then when it doesn't, then your plan breaks down because
mm,
everything didn't go 1, 2, 3, 4, or A, B, C, because it didn't go in the order that you wanted it or even that you planned it to go, it breaks down. So you have to be flexible. Sometimes you have to go 1, 2, B, C, A, 9, 1. I mean, it jumps around, but you have to be flexible enough to deal with it as it comes. Okay. And then that's going to allow you an opportunity to make the most of the transition as
mm,
opposed to just stopping in the middle. And
mm,
so that's what I would say that yes, it's really happening. It's going to happen. And when it does start happening, if you put your mindset in a place of, okay, I do have a plan, but my plan has to be flexible so I don't get so bogged down and so caught up because you can spend a whole lot of energy, time, and effort trying to
mm,
get things to work out exactly the way you wanted them to work out. Look, I put on 3 summits so far, 3 of them. And one thing I've learned is that you have to be flexible. I know there was stuff
mm,
I wanted to have happen. My first summit, I had purchased some brand new books. I had a box of books in the back of the
mm,
room under a table. The
mm.
summer was over. I had to miss it, and people were leaving. 10 minutes after I had dismissed, I realized I didn't even say anything about my books. I didn't even have them on display. I didn't even sell them. But I learned. I learned. So my point is that through those transitions and through the stuff that we have to go through, we can learn to be better. And that's going to bring us to something I'm talking about later on uh, about teaching. Because if you go through a transition, there are some lessons that you learn, but oftentimes those lessons, yeah, you can use them yourself, but guess what? You can also share them with the next generation. You can share them with
That's
somebody
true.
coming behind you. You can teach and tell them and share with them stuff you've learned. So I know being ready for a transition is so important, and then being flexible in it is also going to make it well worth going through. Back over to you.
Mm. Thank you so much. And Coach TC is right here in the house. And she loves that. Yes, flexibility is key. That is correct. And it's so good to have you here, Gabra. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I am so excited, guys. If you're just joining us for the very first time, it's the Civilized Presence. We are here every Mondays and Fridays at 8 a.m., even when there's a holiday. We're here. So make out time to hang out with us. If you're just joining us, you can have access to the video on replay. It's going to be on my page. Are you following me on social media already? If not, look for me. I am on Instagram, So Unique Experts, on Facebook, So Unique Experts, and you can also go on YouTube and get some great videos such as this one. Tons of videos on Louisa Akaizo. Please, please, please subscribe to my channel. Be nice to me and subscribe to my channel. And please watch those videos, share it with other people. Those are great contents that you can learn from. You might not be in a class with us, but this is a class. This is a master class. Come on now.
Yeah.
30 minutes, 1 hour, it's a lot of content that we share. So you don't want to miss out. Now, back to you, Cicone. I loved what you said about how, yes, so many of us get stuck because we cannot be flexible. That is so true.
Right.
Now, when we're transitioning, I kind of look at when I was thinking about this session, transitioning really meeting a wall, a hard wall, like at the end of the road. You know, when you're kind of like driving on a road, on a street that's going to end like a crescent, and boom, you get to the end and you cannot go farther. Now, sometimes when we get to the end, it's either we're filled with confusion. First of all, the first thing is that your brain kind of goes, what am I going to do? Like, I don't know what I'm going to do. So now my question here would be, how can you share with our audience, what are steps that we can use to take, just be in control and begin to find the lessons? Because there's always lessons in the transition process, but sometimes we miss it,
Right.
because a lot of times you're so troubled about what's happening, and beating yourself up. And of course, we're going to talk about that and how it affects our character. We'll come to that. But how can we be firm? What are steps that you can share with our audience? How can we just be firm to look for, how can we find the lesson before we find the solution? How can we at least find the lesson first and then take it from there? Over to you, Cicone.
Well, given the example that you just mentioned about riding on the road and coming to a dead end, anybody that has built the road, they have a requirement. There's a requirement. They have to put a sign up. And what does the sign say? Dead end.
Ooh.
It says dead end. I mean, because or have you gone to neighborhoods and the sign will say no outlet? Meaning
Yep.
that if you go in, you have to come back out the same way. So there's a
Exactly.
sign. Whoever built the road is required to put the sign up. And so to answer your question, are you looking for the signs? Are you
Mm,
looking for the signs? Because there are signs that a relationship,
mm,
dead end.
mm,
This job, you've heard the term dead end job. That means it's not going anywhere. You can only
mm,
go so far and that's it.
mm,
And so looking for those signs,
mm,
there are even businesses that have been started that the signs have come up, dead end, typewriters,
mm,
answer machines. I mean,
mm,
all of these things have gone, they pretty much gone extinct because new technology has come along to make them obsolete.
mm.
So it's being observant and looking for the signs, knowing that those transitions are coming and they have signs associated with them. Even even with entertainment, even with movies, how many people are really buying DVDs now, or even renting DVDs? A lot of stuff people are just streaming. They're watching stuff online, whether it's Netflix or through their Fire Stick or Amazon, Hulu. All of those streaming services have taken over. So for the in fact, for the DVD media, a lot of that
Mm.
stuff, there's a sign coming up. Okay, this is coming to a dead end. You can get a Blu-ray player now for $20. $20. Several years ago, it was $400. But because people are streaming stuff, they're not selling those anymore.
That's
So
true.
to answer your question, looking for the signs and then making the proper adjustments, because you can sit there with your car running at the end of a dead end road, you're still not going to go anywhere. Okay.
Mhm.
But if you missed a sign, if you were distracted and you drove down a dead end road, you did have a choice to just turn around and come back out and get to where you want to go. So knowing that there are signs, we have to be conscious and look for them, even
Mhm.
during a transition, even during a transition. And so I know how critical that is in order for us to achieve our goals. Back over to you, Lisa.
Thank you so much. And I love that, looking for the signs, because sometimes we just keep going and until things get to a dead end and you're like, oh, how did I get here? But
Right.
the signs had been showing up right before then.
Yes.
But we were
Yes.
not just paying attention. Oh, I
Right.
really love this. This is great, and thank you so much. Some of you are just joining us. Welcome to the Civilized Presence, and the topic of today is really the importance of being civil or civility during transition, and that's going to take me to my last question for you today, Sekani. It's the idea of being civil during when you're going through a transitioning, because I find that a lot of people, our characters just takes an opposite direction, and we have an excuse. I'm having a bad day. Things are not going well with me. Oh, she's been going through a lot lately. Oh no, she hasn't been too happy. um you know we just look for excuses on how to
Right.
bring in and infringe more pain on people.
Right.
So now let's talk about civility and transitioning. Why is it so important for us to be civil, and how can we be civil during that time? What are some things that we can do? Last session we talked about communicating professionally, and I remember we had Jacqueline Whitmore in the show, and just talking about even on emails. Sometimes people receive a really bad email, and boom, they just respond right back, boom, and few minutes later, you're like, that's really not what I wanted to say, but it's
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah.
So, how can we be civil even when we're going through a transition, stress, challenges, struggles, whatever anybody wants to call it? Over to you, Sikani.
Well, I'm reminded of this old saying that I heard back when I was a teenager about relax, relate, and release. Relax, relate, and release.
We're
Before
losing
you
you there. Can you
respond,
just, okay.
okay. In fact, I was saying that I am, in fact, reminded of this old saying about relax, relate, and release.
Right.
Relax, relate, and release. Before you even respond in the midst of a transition and before you find yourself being uncivil, step back. Just take a step back. Even if the moment is happening right there. For instance, I would even say, like, okay, let's say that you are in the airport and you are trying to catch a flight and there's bad weather, in fact, where you're going. Now, where you are right now is fine, but there's bad weather, in fact, where you're going, so your flight's delayed.
Mm,
And you have an opportunity, okay, how are you going to respond? Well, the lady at the counter, the lady at the ticket counter or the man at the ticket counter, they can't do anything about the weather. So you shouldn't really be, in fact, directing your frustration or letting your frustration out on them. You have to be able to step back, even in that moment, even in them telling you your flight's delayed or well, in fact, your flight's been canceled. You have to realize that okay, there's nothing that they can do about that. But even in situations where there are folks that can do something about it, you still have to step back. We're talking about you being civil, not you making
mm,
somebody else civil, because that's really not your job. It's about you being able to be
mm,
civil yourself, because civility breeds civility. When you're nice to
mm,
somebody, they are obligated to be nice to you. Now, that doesn't
That's
always
correct.
work. I'll be the first to say that. But I can tell you that by being nice, you have a better chance of
Mm,
receiving that back. But of
mm,
course, if you give out that negativity, if you give out that anger and that frustration, guess what? It's going to come back to you too. So what is it that you want to receive? Well, I want to receive civility. So guess what? I need to sow those seeds, even in my
mm,
conversation, even when I find myself dealing with somebody who may not be civil. It's
mm,
hard to argue with yourself. It's
mm,
hard to argue with yourself. I'll tell you a quick story. I used to work in the service industry, and I used to actually work for a name brand retailer, and I worked in a warehouse. And there were times when our salespeople, they would actually sell something that wasn't in stock. Maybe someone from the customer service area had come and gotten one and swapped it out and just hadn't changed it in the system. Or maybe there was one on display that hadn't been properly moved. So the salesperson looked and says, "Oh, look, we have two in the store." And then they go to sell one and come to find out one of them was in customer service, but they just hadn't changed it in the computer system yet. So when the customer came back, they spent 45 minutes out there talking to the salesperson. They paid the money. They come back to get their item, and it's not fair. I'm the one telling them it's not fair. Well, of course,
mm,
they're going to take it out on the person that's bringing them the bad news, and that's me. So I had to realize they really weren't directing this at me. So I just had to learn how to just allow them to talk, allow them
mm,
to get it all out, and then redirect them back to where they needed to go. So my
mm,
point is that understanding when things aren't in your control, understanding how things don't really directly relate to you, it helps you to be a little more civil. Oftentimes people have a problem when someone calls them on the carpet. And my thing is, instead of having somebody else judge you or somebody else check you, why not check yourself
mm.
before before things get bad?
That
And
is true.
so with the transition, if you don't see it for what it is, if you don't realize where it's coming from and you don't see the full results, you'll have an issue with it. But once
Mm,
you learn how to look at a transition for what it is, it's moving you from one place to another, then you can see the benefits. Because there are benefits. There are benefits in transitions. And I think that's something that a lot of people, they look at what they're losing as opposed to what they're gaining.
mm,
People
mm,
look at what they're losing as opposed to what they're gaining. We're so
mm,
fixated on the past and on what we
mm,
used to have and on the way things used to be done that we are
mm,
missing an opportunity to shape the way things can be done in the future. We can learn
mm,
from the past, true enough, but we can
mm,
make the future that much better if we put in the work, if we are active and proactive in the transition, as
mm.
opposed to being reactive. And like I said, don't just go with the flow, direct it. Back over to you, Louisa.
Thank you so much, Cicone. I love that. And T.C. Cooper says, sow the seeds you want to reap. That is correct. I think it's so important for us to stay civil um, when we're going through transitioning, especially because you want to be able to protect your relationship with people. For example, people around you, because you're not going to run in the world alone. You need them for where you're going. And I'm going to share a personal example. A couple of weeks ago, I was heading to a retreat, and right at the airport, I got to the airport at 5:30. My flight should be 6:30. I was on the queue, and finally, when it got to my turn, I couldn't check in. And so I called up one of those who were in the airport, and I said, my flight is for 6:30. And this lady, I mean, so early in the morning, said to me, ma'am, there's nothing I can do if you got here late. I was like, ooh. So, but I needed to be in class or for that program. I had to be there at 8:30, and I was flying to Atlanta. And
Right.
I said, can you please help me? She said, you got here late. I said, wow. Okay, but I didn't even know that I got there late. I've been here for a while and I've been on the queue. She said, that's not my problem. I said, of course, it's not. So what I did was just take a deep breath because I realized that she was very stressed at that point. I mean, there were so many people in the airport who had either missed their flights. The day before there was terrible weather, and so many flights
Right.
were rescheduled. So she had so much to deal with. So maybe, and I call that unfocused rudeness because that rudeness wasn't really focused at me. She doesn't know me, but
Right.
she was probably going through something at that point. There was so many people in the airport and she was just going crazy. And of course, Louisa shows up and is looking for a flight. And she says, that's not my problem. Okay. So, well, I had this lady who was behind me who started cursing out. So you know
Wow.
what? I just grabbed my bag and I looked for a corner to sit down and I looked for my audiobooks and just had fun with it. It was a good time for me to learn. I was
Right.
not happy that I couldn't make it for something that was going to start about 8:30. But at that point,
Right.
I knew that there was not much that I could do. I wasn't going to put on so much stress on me. And when I
Right.
went back to the counter, she said, well, I don't even know if there's a flight to put you on today. I said, ma'am, take your time. You might need a cup of coffee. Take your time and let me know if you find something.
Right.
But when she kept throwing the bullets at me, but I wasn't giving it back. So at
Right.
the end of it, she was so calm and she said, I'm so sorry. It's been a crazy morning. I said, that's okay. I understand.
Right.
Sometimes you just have to take a deep breath. So we
Right.
are in control of what happens in our world. We are in control. The way that you respond to it. You might not control what happens to you, but you can control how you respond to it.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So transition is going to come. It's going to come, whether you open your door or not. But you have to prepare for it. Because if I got so pissed off and so mad and so crazy, we'll probably end up cursing ourselves out. Now, listen, there's somebody in the airport who I want to exchange my card with. And the next moment, I'm trying to give my card to someone that I'm a civility expert. It's like, hello, you're not. You are not. I just
That
heard you
would be
cuss me
funny.
out. That's right. So
Yeah.
we have to know that we are our brand. Wherever that
Yes.
you go, you are your
Yes.
brand. You have to represent your brand very well, whether there's anyone
Yeah.
around who knows you or not.
Or not.
Civility has to be a lifestyle.
Right.
Sometimes, of course, it might seem so difficult for you. And welcome, Coach Eti. It's great to have you. That's an etiquette coach. Thank you so much for joining us from Nigeria. It's so great to have you. And sometimes it might seem like it's impossible for you to be civil, but you
Right.
have to kind of like just take a deep breath. I find that for you to succeed during a transition, you really have to have a high level of emotional intelligence, high level,
Yes. Yes.
um, for you to succeed. Yes, because it's a time when you really want to punch someone in the face, you know. But you have to think about not just yourself but people around you. You have to think about, where am I going? You have to be calm to take the right decisions, guys. So if you're just joining us, there's so much great content here that you want to be part of. And I remember I mentioned to you at the beginning of the session that today is actually Memorial's Day. It's a
Yes.
holiday here in the United States. It's a day that we celebrate men and women who have died while in military service. So some of
Right.
you might have served. Some of you might have friends and family that have served. And I think, what a better topic to discuss on such a day, because these people who have lost their loved ones are constantly
Yes.
going through some kind of transition. When
Yes.
this day shows up, they think about it. It comes back again. It comes alive again for them. They relieve that experience. And so
Right.
their moods can get a little funny for a couple of hours, a couple of days. So, I think it's just a perfect topic that we had for today, because it's a
Yeah.
day that is filled with emotions. I know that the country is going to, observe a moment of silence about 3 p.m. But throughout this time, you and I are smiling, but that's some people who are actually crying, at this time. That's some people who are very sad and troubled because of things that they've been through. It brings back a lot of not so good experiences and memories back to them. And so that's a
Right.
form of transitioning. So, how do you behave? How do you relate with them? How do you talk them out of it when they are going through that? So, I think this is a great topic, and welcome, Coach Etty. It's great to have you here. Thank you so much. It's always good to have you in the house. How do you relate with these people? And if you're a victim, how do you go through those times without feeling like you want to punch someone in the face? Like, I lost a member of my family, so I'm just going to kill another person on Memorial Day. But how can you gracefully remember these people for the great work that they've done? How can we gracefully remember them for the impact that they made, their sacrifice, humanity? They did so much for us. We just have to love upon them instead of being aggressive on a day such as this one. So, Cicone, I cannot thank you enough for bringing the right topic for the right day. And guys, if you're just joining us, we've been talking about that we're going to be going on a training or masterclass series very soon. We'll be doing a study on my book. It's a Civilized Leader. So if you haven't grabbed a copy, please do so, because we'll be doing a study very soon. There's so much that you can learn from here. And of course, we do have the True Civility. I'm excited about this. It has a foreword from Dr. Rivers. So you might want to grab a copy of it. And of course, you can find it on Amazon. And you can also find it on my page. There's a link there that takes you somewhere to purchase the book right on Amazon. Just type in my name on Amazon and it should be able to show up. So I want to say a big thank you again and welcome, Andy. Thank you, Gabber. It's great to have you, Pamela. It's great to have you here. And some of you who have joined us from different screens and I haven't mentioned your name, I want you to know that I really do love you and appreciate you making out time to hang out with us. So the biggest thank you goes to you, Cicone. Thank you so much for
Thank you for
being here.
having me.
Thank you for sharing your brilliance with us. And you talked about the summit that's coming up in October. Can you just
Yes.
share a little bit about the summit? Like, who is it for? And how can
Okay.
we be part of the summit? Over to you, Cicone.
Okay. Well, I do want to say thank you for allowing me this opportunity to actually be on your show. Our summit is entitled "Are You Climbing the Wrong Mountain Summit?" And you can find out more information and get your tickets at climbtherightmountain.com. That's
Mm,
climbtherightmountain.com. Now, who this summit for? This summit is for entrepreneurs and individuals 18 to 55 who are looking to make sure that they are climbing the right mountain. And of course, we're talking metaphorically with your career, with your purpose in life. Because again, so many people are doing stuff they were trained to do as opposed to what they were ordained to do. And this year, this is going to be the first year that we're doing a 2-day summit. And we're going to be in the great city of New Orleans, Louisiana. And it is going to be an incredible time. The speakers that I have been handpicked to help you get this, do more. That's our theme this year. Do more. Because all of us, we've accomplished a certain amount in our life. But if we're honest with ourselves, there's more that we can do. We can be
mm,
more civil. We can be more active. We can be more productive. And so this summit is going to help you figure out a way. How is it that I can do just a little more so I can achieve a little more, so I can make life that much better for those people around me? So I'm
mm,
excited about this summer. We have some incredible exercises. And again, as a backdrop, as a bonus, you're going to get to hang out in New Orleans, Louisiana. And we're going to
mm.
laissez bon temps roulette, which means let the good times roll. But it's going to be an incredible experience, and I can't wait to share with all those who attend. And I hope that that's you. Louisa, I do want to say this too, though, that closing out this section about civility during the transition, you definitely have to make sure that you don't let your emotions drive you. Earlier, you mentioned about emotional intelligence, and that is so important because that is going to make the difference on whether or not you're able to be civil. But then
Mm.
once you've learned civility, you have responsibility to teach. You have a
That is true.
responsibility to share. And even with this summit, we're going to be sharing information that's going to help people get better and get closer to where they want to be. So that's why I love what you're doing, Louisa. I love the fact that not only are you a civil person, but you're teaching civility. You're teaching and you're helping people to be more civil. And that shows your heart and your willingness to give back. So I am so grateful for you for that and for this platform. And I just want to thank you again for allowing me to be on it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cicone. I had a question from the audience says,
Okay.
asking about the poetic civility. Guys, I know you can also have access to it on Amazon. Guys, what we did with poetic civility is really converting civility through poems. And if you notice, back in the day, our parents always shared proverbs, poems, idioms with us. And that's really where civility started from. Those great messages in that. And so we were
Mm.
able to pick that up and just create something that connects more to your feelings. So poetic civility is more about the feelings to the reader than about the words. So, it's a really tiny book, and I hope that you enjoy it. And thank you for asking. You can also find it on Amazon. Yes, really tiny book, but what we did was really conveying the message of civility through poems, just making it easy for everyone to read, for children, for everyone around to be able to read. And thank you so much for that. And Coach TC, it was so great to have you here. Thank you, everyone that had made out time to be here with us. Thank you, and thank you again. Guys, I'm going to see you again on Friday at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. So make sure that you have a date with me on that day. And if you think that you're doing something great that you want us to learn about, if you think that you want to come on our show, pretty easy. Send me an email, Louisa at thecivilityacademy.com. We would schedule to have a chat and just talk about what you do and welcome Franklin and to see if it's in alignment with our message. Now you've learned about what the focus here is. So make sure that what you're bringing is in alignment with what we're doing. We're not going to be going
Right.
the opposite direction. We just learned that this morning, guys. So So please send me an email. Send me an email if you love what we do. If you want to learn about a particular topic that we haven't touched on, send me an email, Louisa at thecivilityacademy.com. There's going to be a lot of fun things that will be coming up in June. And I don't know how many of you have been part of the Global Civility Awareness Challenge, the 31 Days Challenge. How many of you have been part of it? It's been great. I posted it on my page, it's on my Instagram. If you're still struggling about how to be civil, it's a good way for you to get started. At least you have a challenge every day, guys, something that you can learn from. So I want you to be part of all of those great things and send me a mail, inbox, whatever. Let me know how you're doing with the challenge. Did you begin with it? Did you share it with someone? Did you find some difficulty? Is it something that you want to change around? Is it something that you want me to learn about what you're doing? Talk to me. Guys, talk to me. The show, it's all about you. It's not for me. So I have to make sure that you are happy and satisfied with whatever that we're doing. So thank you so much for being here again. It was so great, all of you, and thank you for all of the messages. Okay, I just saw that our challenge today for day 27 is include your coworkers in conversation. That's the challenge for today. So step out there. Some of us in North America might say, Louisa, we're not working today. But yes, include people around you. Sometimes we're in our own world and we treat everyone else as being invisible. And so you need to step out of yourself. I know you want to be quiet. I know you don't want to talk to other people. And so thank you so much, Coach Athey. You've done so great. She's been doing a lot of work with this on Instagram. And thank you. Thank you for just educating people with your platform. I really appreciate the work that you're doing in Africa and all over the world. And so, guys, step out of your comfort zone today and try to include people. Learn how to get them to be part of your conversation. Don't be a loner. Don't be alone in the world. There's something valuable in everyone. So thank you so much. I have to be civil so that I have Cicone get back on our show again another time.
Okay.
Cicone, it's so good to have you. I'm always so excited to have you here, my friend. Thank you. Thank you for
Thank
the
you.
work that you do and continue to do.
Thank
and
you.
have yourself a wonderful rest of the day. Bye for now, everyone.
You too. Bye.